Oh, another week, another discussion around skill expression and what it means for the world of Dead by Daylight. Now, I've talked in the past very regularly about skill expression and how it relates to, well, everything, and also behavior's seeming war on skill expression. I've talked about the removal of text in an entire video, but I've also talked about things like the flashlight buffer, the buffer to looking at killers, the removal of verticality from certain maps even when they have two stories, and just a bunch of other things. But today's discussion is going to be less about the removal of skill expression and when text and skill expression should quote-unquote be removed, right? Because you can argue that most everything within a game is skill expression. Everything that goes beyond the basis of hold forward or hold M1 can be considered skill expression, and that's often what I talk about when I refer to things like skill ceilings and skill floors, which is how much skill expression you need to retain value out of a character. For today's topic, let's go ahead and take a look at this clip posted by somebody named Godly, Trust in Godly. This is a Chucky tech exploit, whatever you want to call it. I'm not worried about the terminology right now. We're just worried about what we see here. I probably shouldn't have muted this. Anyway, you don't need to hear it. What you do need to see is what's happening right now. So if you're not aware what exactly was happening there, basically there is a kind of thing that you can do where you manipulate the slice and dice to be infinite. You can just hold it for an infinite amount of time before eventually being able to let it go. And the interesting thing about this tech and what we found out about it is, as time goes on, we have learned that you can also basically hold it down until the cooldown on your hidey-ho is over and double tap people in an insanely unfair way. I couldn't find the clip again, unfortunately for me, but there was this clip that somebody posted where they downed a survivor in 3 seconds using this. Now, I believe this is called Chucky. I don't know why it's called that, but I believe that's what it's called. And unfortunately, this has led to a lot of problems. Now, when I would look at something like this, and a lot of people look at something like this, they think, oh, okay, so this is something that definitely needs to be removed. The behavior needs to figure out what's causing this, and they need to patch it because it's incredibly unfair. But some people have argued, well, if you want to keep Wesker's hug tech in, or for people like me, if I wanted to keep Blight's hug tech in, or things like that, what is the difference between those hug techs and this? When can you keep a tech or an exploit in the game, and when can't you? And the simple answer to that is when it becomes unhealthy. There is a tech in Dead by Daylight that is probably the most common survivor tech, and it is called CJ teching. Now, if I wasn't incredibly lazy, I would go and find you a clip of CJ teching to put in the background, but I am incredibly lazy. And I also run 4 YouTube channels at the same time, and I edit for all of them. But anyway, the point is that CJ teching is when you vault a pallet when a killer is about to break the pallet so that you can force the pickup, so you can vault the pallet back and then get the flashlight save in a relatively quote-unquote easy way. There's also techs like window teching, which means that you take advantage of the killer's loss of collision when they vault a window for you to fake going one way and then go to the other. And these are all pretty much fine. Other techs include things like we said, Wesker's hug teching, Euro bending. Basically, a tech, by its definition, is the manipulation of something that is unintended by the devs. Whether that be a bug or a mechanic or whatever the case may be, techs, by their definition, are exploits, and they always have been. Whether or not a tech should be removed is related, unfortunately, to whether or not it is healthy for the game. So, in hindsight, a lot of people might say, well, Blight's hug tech was unhealthy for the game because it was very difficult to avoid a Blight who was hug teching. I would argue I don't agree. I think that the hug teching was fine. I barely ever lost to it, and honestly, even when I see people hug teching, there were people that could counter it depending on what was going on. But hey, you know what? We're not here to discuss that hug tech. Well, we kind of are. But hey, I think that realistically speaking, the discussion around whether or not Blight's Hug Tech should ever have been removed is an endless conversation that most people don't know whether or not we could have. What we need to define, realistically speaking, is what is unhealthy for the game. And in my opinion, what is unhealthy for the game is something that creates an unfair advantage that the other side cannot adapt to. And this Chucky tech falls under that. An infinitely held slice and dice that can then be followed up with a second slice and dice to down someone in 3 seconds is not healthy, and there's really nothing that survivors can do about it. Now, how dodgeable slice and dice is very dependent on things like your distance from Chucky, how close you're holding loops, whether or not you understand that Chucky is like kind of locked into a straight line, and things like that. There is a counter to slice and dice play, and it requires you paying the fuck attention, and if you want to argue with me on that, then I'm probably not going to argue back, but you can check out, I did an entire interview with 3 Chucky mains on the state of Chucky and how they feel about him and everything. Should be linked in the description. The point is that the weakness of slice and dice is its rigid movement and the fact that it doesn't last very long. If you can wait out the slice and dice or wait out the hidey ho, then you have effectively made Chucky into a significantly worse killer, because then he just becomes 4.4 doll with a knife, and that is one of the biggest prospects of slice and dice. Even though it is a very strong ability, if you can wait it out, if you can dodge it, if you can counter it, then it goes on a lengthy, well, I wouldn't say lengthy cooldown, but it goes on a significant cooldown. But if you're able to hold it infinitely, then what is the survivor supposed to fucking do? The answer is absolutely goddamn nothing. And that's one of the biggest problems. So when we talk about removing things like this, removing these exploits, another great example actually on the killer side, during, I forget which patch it was, but there was a patch where there was a mad grit bug with Oni, where Oni could lunge infinitely with mad grit, which basically meant Oni could pick someone up and then just sit there and just lunge after survivors, and you could get quite a bit of downs with it, and that wasn't good, that wasn't healthy, because yeah, it was technically able to be avoided by just staying the fuck away from the killer for, you know, extended amounts of time. But on the other hand, it made things like body blocking, flashbangs, sabo plays, it made those all very like undoable. You could shut down entire play styles with this exploit, and that's just not something that we want to happen. We want people to be able to try to participate in certain play styles. Yes, a Lightborn discussion is coming. I want to write that one. I don't want to just talk on that one, so it's scripts can take me a while to write sometimes. But anyway, the point is that when it comes to techs and exploits and what should be removed, it should always be a discussion about what is healthy for the game, as opposed to whether or not you like it. And that's probably one of the biggest points of contention. I don't like Wesker's Hug Tech, because I think it's fucking stupid that you can fucking slide around 3 corners and grab someone with your ass cheeks. But it's not unhealthy for the game. It is good for the game. It gives Wesker an incredibly high skill ceiling, and it's not something that's easily done, and it's something that you can anticipate if you understand that the Wesker can pull off what they're doing. So I think it is healthy for the game, but this Chucky tech just isn't, and it needs to be removed. But as always, that's all I have for you guys today. I appreciate you stopping by and watching the video. And as always, a great big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now. If you want to find out how to become a channel member today, get awesome perks like seeing videos early, merch discount codes, and coaching, then please click that join button down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.
Need more Kaiser in your life? Well, I've got you covered. Check out my second channel, The Kaiser Extras, where I upload full gameplays, stream compilations, me reacting to your Dead by Daylight clips, and more. We also upload a daily short with all the greatest clips from stream. We'll see you over there. Link is in the description.